It is midnight.
Midnight. Okay.
Exactly midnight.
Wow. You definitely have some dedication.
Actually, I'm very happy and it is very high energy. I was looking forward to making this live. We thought it was last week.
Right. All right.
Yes, I hope it
Excellent.
will be fun.
Good, good. Are you ready? You all set up?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, so for me, I'm actually I just happen to be home. So I'm home and I just set things up and I'm just being regular. So I wanted this to be as I'll probably say as free as possible, right?
Oh,
But also informative.
oh,
Um
okay.
and so for those that are joining, I'm good, yeah. For those that are joining, my name is Enoch Glover. I reside here in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the U.S. I've been performing SMP for close to about 13 years now. And this discussion is going to be about SMP and transplant. And I have my friend here, she wolf, but her name is Samra, and I'll have her invite, I should say, introduce herself. But before she does that, how her and I met was actually very interesting. I think it was by her reaching out and us just having a conversation. We understood that we had a certain core in terms of how business is done, right? And those core items for us, aligned very well. And her doing transplant and me doing SMP, and we know just about all the different things or questions and clients and fears people have. We figured it would be best for us to get on a call and and just those I can join, however this informative can be to someone, it will be useful to them. So to that, I will let her introduce herself and who she is, her practice, and where she's located and all that stuff.
Okay. Hi again, everybody. Thank you, Enoch, for having me here. Actually, yes, it was very. We at the beginning, I'm very happy that we share lots of uh, things in common about life and about business. So I feel very comfortable for being here because, collaboration is something making a family. So one is for the other. So um, I am in this health tourism business in Turkey for last 6 years. And I'm a Turkish businesswoman, actually. I'm doing international businesses, and we have many friends around the world, and we become family like this. And our main for the health business or main issue is main focus is on hair transplant. And uh, you already know Turkey is very well known for hair transplant. And to be honest, it is really very, very well known, and it is very well done in Turkey. Maybe we can discuss this during
Yeah,
our
so
live.
so Summer, actually, if you don't mind, as you're talking, if you don't mind, I will interject whenever I think there's something you should expand on. So why do you think Turkey is like, the well-known place for hair transplant? Can you just go a little bit into that?
Okay, yes, of course, because um, hair in Turkey is very well known and very good at this hair transplant because of the number of practices. Actually, you get your excellence from the number of when you do something more, you get better. So for the last 15 years, 20 years in Turkey, we do hair transplant, and using technology and the latest technologies. So, and actually, the medical schools in Turkey only accepts the highest ranked students from the elementary and other schools. And there is a very hard exams before entering university, and the top students prefer the medicine schools, and the special ones prefer the surgery. And you know, and Turkish people genetically very successful in the things that is being done by hand. So the surgeons are genetically actually very easy to be educated. It is the same for the craftsmen, for example. We are good at the things that is done by hand, and for the medical health sector in Turkey, it is very supported by the state and government. So they see the students of the medical schools practice a lot until they become real surgeons at the hospitals. They have the opportunity to practice. Actually, some of our MDs around the world, especially from US, ask me to provide them opportunities with our surgeons to practice in Turkey, because as you do something, you get better. You know, you do the business. And actually, I believe that it is the same for the SMP artists and SMP studios in US. Since you practice more, I think that it is the same in SMP in US, like it is hair transplant in Turkey, because in Turkey people can afford hair transplant very easily, and they can reach a hair transplant very easily. So SMP cannot get progress because it is not practiced a lot. And since I told when we first talked, it is very the SMP community, especially in US, is very passionate about the thing they do as you. So I'm very happy to collaborate with this community, because I believe the success and ability of SMP in US. So we combine our hair transplant services with SMP at the home country in the US of our hair transplant patients.
Okay. No, I mean, what you have in the 13 years I've been practicing this, you know, you get clients that come in, they've done transplant, and you know, most of it, exactly to what you mentioned, always lacks density, right? And that's where I see where SMP, from the management of the color and the ability to go in there and provide a little bit more color and reduce the contrast, gives it much more of that fuller look, right? So absolutely, I mean, every time people come in, you know, initially when the industry started, it was like this, like, oh, SMP or transplant, right? It's like it cannot be both, because it seems like both were going after the same customers, right? But when you look at it, there are two sets of customers. They're the customers that totally have lost so much where they're not candidates, right? Or customers that they're just ready to just shave their hair off. But then you run by the customers where they absolutely want to maintain even the little strand of hair that they have, because hair is just so important to them and they don't want to cut it. And so in those cases, yes, they are good for transplant, but transplant alone is not going to solve the issue. Now you got to merge it with SMP to get a much more fuller results. So like you said, absolutely, you know, the collaboration there is very key. In the beginning stages, transplants doctors were looked at as, competitors. And SMP for us, they looked at us, the same way. And also not even also giving us that same level of respect, right? Because to become a transplant doctor, like you said, you have to go through many years of schools, right? For SMP, it's not quite the same. So a lot of the transplant people will look at us like, well, you can really do the same thing that I can do because I've had such a huge amount of education,
Uh-huh.
in doing what I do. But on SMP side, it's a little bit different. But to your point, it's more about now the collaboration, right? And
Sure.
the value of knowledge to bring it together and ultimately for this customer to benefit from it.
Yes, and I always say that hair loss is not a disease, and I'm very happy about it because it is another psychology to deal with patients that tries to get cured about their health illness, health issues. Hair loss is not a disease, and hair loss treatments are not medical treatments. They are all optional. So, but these both hair transplant and SMP hair loss solutions are helping to uh, feel better, and the mental health supports the physical health a lot. it it it,
Mhm.
it is it is very important for that, because of that reason we don't try to motivate people to get a hair transplant. But if someone decided uh, to get a hair loss solution, we are here to provide them with the best solutions, with the best service, with the best quality hair transplant. So we are here to answer their questions while they are deciding whether to have the hair transplant or not. And after they decide to have the hair loss treatments, we are here to give them the best service, best hair transplant, a successful hair transplant, because, since it is optional,
Mhm.
when you decide something, your expectation is to feel better. And after uh, the hair transplant, we want to give a solution that will make them uh, love themselves more, to feel
Mhm.
better when they look at the mirror. And as you told, uh, we have to accept that one of our services may not give the 100% satisfaction to the client, because as you told, I am at the hair transplant. We can give them real hair, real grafts, real hair strands, but we are limited with their donor hair capacity. And to be honest, we all know that we do something technical, and it is a kind of invasive treatment, and we do our best. And in Turkey, we really do the best maybe in the industry, but the density is something different. We even we use the latest technology, it is not dense as the natural hair. And most of the time we don't have enough donor hair capacity of the client. So I believe the combination of these two services, hair transplant and scalp micropigmentation, to give the best ultimate result to the client. So I am here. I am trying to tell anybody that we need to not compete, but we complete each other, not compete.
That's right. No, that's right. Yeah, and like you said, absolutely on point. Again, I've met people where, hair transplant is just not good for them as well because they just don't have enough donor areas, and they've just lost so much, right? And then I've met people where they want to cut it down, and I'm telling them no, maybe with a couple more hair transplant, you will get it much more fuller. So, to your point, everybody is different, and you have to look at, each customer, and I should say each client and their situation differently,
Yeah.
and address the ones that they may just be SMP, ones that may just be transplant, and one that may be SMP and transplant together, right? Those are the three key solutions that I see, and I think this is where SMP and transplant merges very well for those kind of clients.
Yes, and when you do hair transplant, a successful hair transplant, um, it changes the whole look. And as you told, after hair transplant, people may not want to use it because hair transplant, we put the hair, and as the hair grows, it covers the other bald
Mhm.
spots, and the density comes from the length also of the hair. But some people may want to use it short. That they just want to know that they have a hair, but they want to use it short. So
Right.
uh, to give that density, we need to fill in the blanks.
That's right. That's right. Very much so. So one question for you, why do you do what you do? Like you could have been in many professions. Why did you choose hair transplant?
Um, hair transplant, it is not only hair transplant. At our clinic, we give all the dental treatments, also the plastic surgeries. I think I sometimes think of the same question about myself, and I established this clinic just to make people happy, because it's a big comfort zone to know that the people we are serving, they don't need it for their health. they
Mm,
they want they prefer it to feel better, to it makes them happy.
right, right,
And it is not a dead or life situation. So it is like making a makeup on myself, making people feel better when they look at, because the look of people after they have more hair, if it is important for them, they come to us to get the hair transplant. And I can see the change in their looks after having that hair on the place that they want to see. When they look at the mirror, they completely change. So
right, right.
I like the feeling of that transformation. I believe I love the feeling making that possible.
Wow. No, I can totally relate, 100% because right in front of me, I've seen people change, people that comes in and it feels like the world. To your point, it's not a disease, right? But because of how they feel about themselves, it makes them feel like it's a disease and it's something they have to cure, right? And you get a lot of those that would say, well, I want to do it, but this person say I don't need it, that I'm fine. And I always tell them, yes, it's okay that somebody say don't do it, right? But ultimately, it's more about how you feel about it. Because if you don't feel right about yourself, it doesn't matter how much somebody else dismisses it. It's that you are continuing to go to feel bad about it. And the only way to do it is to deal with what that issue is, right? And so it's something that you always have to do it for yourself. And so these people come in and to see them, just transform where feels like the world has beat them down, and then they walk out and they see a hairline and they reintroduce themselves to themselves when they were so much younger. uh so yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot of people will also say, what is vain is vanity, and I'm like, you know who really tells somebody what is vain and what is vanity, right? My only requirement is, as long as you're not hurting another human being, right? And you are being true to who you are, right? If hair is what makes your identity, then absolutely, it's important to you. For some people, it's hair. For some people, it's muscles. For some
Yeah,
people, it's everybody have their different things that makes them who they are, right?
yeah,
And SMP, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Sorry. If the thing is important to them, important to us, so
That's right.
we take it very serious while doing our job, because they choose to get it done to feel better. So, and if you don't do it, you don't take it serious, you don't give a better look, if you cannot make them happier after the hair transplant or SMP, there's it's nonsense.
Right.
So it is very serious. We take it very serious. We try hard
Yeah.
to make it the best version of. So I have some questions actually we told, but for about SMP also.
Sure.
I just need to try to understand. But how do you describe a successful SMP? I know for hair transplant, but at the SMP success, what is it?
So that's actually a very interesting question, right? Right. And the reason why I say that is because I'll answer the question in two different ways. I think one more from a practical perspective, and then another one more from I don't know what to call that perspective, or I'll describe it. But from a what makes it successful is somebody can do SMP, and you may be looking at it, another person may be looking at it, and you all can come up with different conclusions of, oh, that is successful, or oh, that is not successful, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the other side of success, which to me is really more successful in terms of ultimately, and you mentioned it, it's about that client and the fact that what they want and how they wanted to see themselves, you've been able to create that for them, or I should say, recreate that for them, and they are happy about it, right? Because you can find some that will come and say, hey, I want my hairline down here. And somebody that can say, I want my hairline back here. It's a matter of preference, right? But ultimately, to the customer, if the hairline is here and somebody else is looking at it, will say, well, you could have brought it down a little bit more, but that's not what the customer wants, right? So success to me is ultimately what the customer wants. Now, there are limits where, as practitioners, we have to make sure that we're doing the right things. And this is what I mean by that. If somebody comes to me and they say they want their hairline in the middle of their face, I will not do it, right? Just to satisfy them, because also my name and I have integrity in what I am doing, right? So that's the one side of success that we have to talk about. Which perspective are we looking at it from a success perspective? Now, from a practical side, success from in terms of an SMP is when somebody have had to buzz their hair down low, and from where they are losing the hair, the transition from where their hair loss is to where they actually have hair is very minimized and one cannot see it. That's one. So that goes into blending, how you're able to blend into what the person's natural look is. The second side of it for me will be more about profile, right? Everybody have different facial structures. And sometimes you can push where if you go against certain facial structures, then the work becomes not natural, right? And anytime you go against something that is natural, if somebody has a bump or when they smile, their sides go up, you have to take all of that and curvatures and everything into account. So for me, when I look at work, I'm looking at the work against that person's natural curvatures of their face. And if I do not see anything from a contrast perspective and it fits them and it makes them look who they are, age appropriate, right? You cannot put a sharp hairline on somebody who is 60 years old, right?
Yeah.
No matter how much you push it, it's not going to look natural, right? Uh, and so, the natural, again, the natural curvatures again comes into play. And then the third side of it is the management of color, right? Uh, how everything blends together, how when light hits it under different lighting conditions, how it's going to look, right? And naturally, again, how when it's cut down, it makes that person feel and look about themselves. So, when I look at, if I have to criticize somebody's work, or I wouldn't use the word criticize. If I have to give somebody feedback on their work, for me, these are the things I look at: is the blending, is the color, but most importantly, is how the facial structure is and how they've been able to recreate the hairlines to make that person looks like who they are, but maybe 10 years younger.
Yeah. Yeah. This blending and coloring, I believe, because I review many works since I really care about about giving density to our hair transplants. I think that the success of the results is more about the blending and coloring, giving the right color.
Yes, yes, yes. Because
Yes.
you cannot, it's a balance, right? You cannot be too dark and you cannot be too light at the same time, right? But I
Mm,
always say this, I always be on the side of caution where I always rather be too light than too dark, right? Because if it's too light, I can always go back in and add more. Versus
mm,
if it's too dark, you've caused a different problem where now you have to deal with, a customer having to go through laser, right? So one of the biggest things I tell people with SMP when people come to my clinic is I tell them, no, we're going to be conservative, right? Yes, my first sessions, I put in a lot of work in my first sessions, but the first session is just creating that foundation, right?
mm,
You got to create a foundation, let it heal, let it come back, because when it comes back, there's also information collecting. Now you really understand how their skin is going to heal. You understand the areas and you see where it's not so irritated. And so you collect a lot of information that allows you to go into your second session, which then makes it even look so much more better, right? So first session, people walk in and they love it. They're like, "Oh, this looks so good." And I'm like, "Just wait till second session." And second
mm,
session, it just blows their mind because but what they have to understand is that from the first to second, when you get to second session, you have a lot of information that now you can apply to
mm.
really make that person looks right and also give them the right color as well, like you mentioned. So yes, color is and blending are two big parts of SMP.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, at least at SMP, when something goes wrong, you can laser it. But for a bad hair transplant, actually, there is nothing like that. So it is really very sensitive. Very, we have to be very careful about what we are doing,
Absolutely.
and we have to. Especially the same for the hair transplant. A successful hair transplant is about the two parts of the job. One is
Mm-hmm.
the uh, good distribution of the extraction at the
Mm-hmm.
donor area, because if you don't do it in the right way, you can if they cut it down, you can hurt the grafts that will remain on the
Mm-hmm.
donor area, and you can kill them since you just hurt them. And if you don't do it uh, evenly distributed,
Mm-hmm.
the when they cut it short, it will look very ugly, really. There will always be spots since because we extract with the roots. So, but it is very important to distribute to get them extracted very carefully and to not over harvest. And the second is the hair transplant front hairline, because everybody gets the hair transplant to have a hairline, front line, when they look at the mirror. And as you told before, we have to do it in harmony with the natural muscles, the frontal muscles of the client, not to below or over, because if you make it it doesn't change the look if you make it too high. And the natural look is very important, because you have to use the thinner grafts on the front line, and you have to give the front line like zigzags, to give a natural look, not a straight line. Yes. And if you put the thick strands on the front line, it will look like a wig. And you have to plan. Actually, 50%, half of the job is to plan before the hair transplant, because you have to decide the right number of the grafts to extract, looking at the donor area. And you have to decide how to distribute, how to place the grafts, where to place, where to use the possible grafts on the scalp, on the front line, because we especially prefer at least half of the grafts on the front line and closer area, like the 2 centimeters area, because it makes the result. But we use the remaining grafts on the other parts or bold areas, because we have to give the natural look also to the receding lines. And as the successful hair transplant, actually 95% of the transplanted hair should grow.
95%.
Yes.
So what you're saying is, if I come in and you need 1,000 grafts, you can guarantee 950 of them will come up.
Yes, the successful hair transplant, because in the hair transplant, putting the grafts on the right depth is very important. If you put it very deep, it will not grow, or it will grow inside and it will make bumps on the scalp. If you put it very shallow, they will not live there, because they will not contact the scalp, they will not get fed on the scalp, on the skin, so they will live, they will die. So putting the grafts on the right depth is very important for the success of the hair transplant, besides putting the right places, of course, but that is also very important.
So when the transplant happens, how long does it take? Or I should say, maybe walk through the cycle, right? Like, once you plant transplanted, how long does it take to heal? How long will it then take, for them to start seeing hair, and all that stuff?
The actually hair transplant operation in the hospital is only 1 day, between 6 to 8 hours, and starts in the morning, and we do local anesthesia, and you don't feel almost nothing because of the anesthesia. And during the day you are awake and you can do anything. You eat breakfast, lunch, and you can have coffee breaks. You can watch TV. It is a 1 day procedure. And the second day,
I'm sorry, normally how long does a procedure take? I know
the
it depends on how
procedure
much you need to, but average.
it is 6 to 8 hours. The procedure itself is 6 to 8 hours.
Okay.
And the second day, uh, the patient rests at the hotel, do nothing, and you don't wash. And third day, we take them to the hospital and we do the first washing. It is because the transplanted grafts are very sensitive at the moment. It is like putting seeds on the soil.
Okay.
So it is very sensitive. So the first 1 week, 10 days is very important for the success of the hair transplant. You have to take care of the grafts a lot. You as long as you don't touch it and you wash every day for the first 10 days with the special shampoo we give, and after 10 days that everything is normal. You live the daily routine as it is, but for the first 1 month you have to still care about not pushing the metabolism too much, not a hard work at the gym. Just small.
Okay.
And the hair growth after 5 to 6 months. During this period, the hair strands that we transplanted, actually we call that time shock loss. During the 4th month, the transplanted hair strands you will lose that hair.
Okay.
But the roots will already be alive at its new places. And
Okay.
after 5 and 6 months, the new hair will start to grow from the roots, and at the end of 9 to 10 months, almost 75% of the transplanted hair will already grow, and at the end of 1 year you will have all transplanted hair grow. And
Okay.
we advise, since the healing takes the under the skin healing will take at least 10 months, we advise our clients to have SMP if they prefer, if they will, after 10 months.
Okay. Okay. Because I've seen some people come in before where they may have gotten transplant, and actually some of them is more on the back side, and because they may have some scars, they're like, well, we're ready to treat it. And I always ask them, how long since they had the transplant. So it seems like what you're saying is that if you give it a solid, let's say a year, 9 months to a year, it should be good.
Yes, because especially for the transplanted part, it makes the effect, since it still heals, the cells are regenerating. The capacity of the scalp, the skin, is still low for keeping the ink you put. So it will fade more quickly after more than you expected.
Okay.
Since it is
Okay.
still healing, it will fade quicker.
Okay. Okay, I got you. So it's again, probably if you stay okay, a solid year, everything would have kind of settled, and at that point
Yeah,
you can.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yes, actually, because and also since the scalp is still sensitive inside in the deep, when they get the SMP, it hurts more than the regular time.
Got you.
So they may skip coming for the next sessions since it hurts a lot.
Gotcha. So actually, one question I'm going to ask you, something I will learn here for me. If somebody comes to you and they want to do both SMP or transplant, which one would you say they should do first?
Certainly hair transplant.
Okay,
Because you know, maybe I can explain more about the how we do hair transplant.
sure. Go for it.
The hair transplant starts with the donor area hair graft extraction. We extract from the donor area one by one, and then on the bald area, we have two different hair transplant techniques. Uh, they are not the alternative for each other. We decide with the special case of the patient. The one is FUE, follicular unit extraction. We after we extract the grafts, first we open channels with a blade, a very small and sharp blade with the channels on the scalp, and then put the grafts on that channels. The DHI is a direct hair implant. We have a special tool, and we'll put the grafts on that tool. It is like a pen, and we don't open channels, directly put the hair with that the tool directly to the skin. So but both are invasive. We make into the scalp. So if and after the procedure, both procedure, the places of the hair transplant first crust, and then it heals. It's a process, healing process. So if we do first SMP, first we use the SMP scalp, yeah, the scalp that applied SMP. So its effect will not be efficient.
That's correct.
Since we will
You're gonna
hurt the
skin.
scalp. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, skin. And so after the hair transplant, first hair transplant, and then SMP will be giving the best results.
Good. Any questions for me?
The questions. I just want to ask is it, how do you decide? Is it important the thickness of the skin, and is it important? How do you decide which way to follow? Is it important for example, for hair transplant, a race is very important, and each race has its different characteristics for both hair and the techniques we use. Where it is almost different from each other, completely different from each other. What about SMP?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The skin, or I should say, the race plays a role in it. In terms of, so I wouldn't even put race. I would just use more of a color spectrum, right? So, because we're dealing with color, what you will find most of the time when I'm looking at the scalp is how much contrast can I create for it to look natural and to look natural to the scalp as much to the area where they already have hair when cut down as much as possible. And so in those cases, what I do and what you find with African Americans or people with dark skin is that the skin is very hard to work with in terms of trying to create that contrast. But the skin is a little bit more forgiving, right? Uh, but when you work on someone that's lighter, what you will find is that you can create that contrast very easy, but the skin is not as forgiving. So if you make a mistake, it's very quick, to see it. Now, and when it comes to, to thickness of skin and things of that sort, yes, you'll find. I try not to generalize so much, also because, you'll find African Americans that have, much more thicker scalp, but they may have the thicker scalp because some maybe because, of just how they've cut their hair or bumps that they may have on their head. And you'll find, other races, Caucasians, Hispanics that, may have thinner, scalp as well, but maybe it's also, so thin because of just how much exposure they may have, have to had to the sun and things of that sort. So, when it comes to, that thickness, I always make a judgment in terms of how deep I go or how not deep I go based on the first couple of minutes that I'm working on the client, right? So the first couple of minutes, and I tell people this all the time, is I am as nervous as they are because clients come in and they're like, "Oh, we're nervous." I said, "It's okay. We're both nervous together because everybody is different, right?" And when I start to work on you, I first have to test the density of your scalp to understand and to adjust based on the tools that I have to make something that works best for you, right? So, for me, I try not to generalize so much in terms of, a particular race and how they are. Is each person that comes in, I make an assessment, and based on that assessment, I apply the right tools to it to give me the best results. Is the best way I'll answer it. Okay. Somebody asked how many sessions do I do, uh, usually. So normally, I mean, I always really try to get my third session in. Because like I said, the first session, you get things done, they go back, they heal, they come back, you add a second session. Most of the time, by second session, my work is done. But that third session is also very crucial for me because I like to really take my time, look at it to make sure that absolutely the customer is happy. And if we obviously need to touch up one or two things here, we touch up here. So I always, stress, use all three sessions. Can SMP be done in one session? Absolutely. It's all based on how long that client can sit in that chair and, embed that discomfort and how much attention and how long a practitioner can work on that particular client and give it, 100% attention all the time. So it can be done. Is it wise? Probably not, right? Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's wise that you do it. So I try to spread all of mine really within that two solid sessions, but I always leave that third just, as another time when I can, make some changes. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Also hair transplant, if the donor area is rich, and the bald area is big, we also divide it into two sessions.
Okay.
Because at one session, the healthy hair transplant session is around 4,000, 5,000 grafts we do. Because if much more grafts we try to transplant, the hair grafts will die outside of the skin. So we have to complete it between that 6 to 8 hours, and it is an optimum time for hair transplant. But if we cannot complete, we first prefer to complete the front line first, and then if we need a second session, we leave the crown area for the second session. And actually,
Okay.
for the colors, for hair transplant, the color and genetics is very important because different. Oops, sorry. different genetics have different hair strands and hair colors. In one graft, some people may have one, two, maximum three strands in the one graft. But in, let's say, in Asian people, they have more strands in one graft. So, but the curly hair has the advantage, some disadvantages, but has the advantage that when the hair grows, it covers more area. So we can cover the same area with less hair.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. How so the other once a don't the place has been done is many years. Like how long does it really stay? Like the actual hair. Like what is the lifespan of that particular hair?
For hair transplant, actually, it is lifelong, especially for the male pattern hair loss treatments, because it is scientifically, it is the male pattern hair loss is because of the DHT resistance, because of the hormones. So, but the donor area is because of the testosterone hormone levels, the fluctuations in that hormone, male pattern hair loss. But the donor area between the scalp, the hair between two ears, that area is testosterone free area. Because of that reason, men lose the hair at the other places of the scalp, but the hair stays at the donor area. And as we change the place of that testosterone free hair from the back of the scalp to the top or front, it still behaves the same. So it is not affected by the testosterone. So it will, because of the reason of the hair loss for the male pattern hair loss is because of the testosterone, and these hair are free from that effect. They live almost lifelong. But after the hair transplant, actually, if the hair loss not stopped yet, the existing hair on the transplant area may still continue to lose, to fall. So mostly people keep the transplanted hair as they get older.
Okay. Okay.
If not transplanted, the area will be completely bald.
Okay.
But since the hair transplant is done, they will still have hair, and we can repeat if they have enough donor hair.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I ask you is because on the SMP side, a lot of people ask, well, how long? And I think somebody asked that question. How long does a procedure usually last? So my procedure, in terms of the actual procedure, lasts for first session. I tell people, give me about a good 4 or 5 hours. Second session, maybe 3 hours. Last session, 1 hour. But once it's done, it's permanent. And I tell people well, yeah. Can it be reversed? Absolutely. You can laser it off, right? But who wants to go through that? But for the rest of your life, it's always going to be there. There's going to be a tint of it over there, which is why about every 3 years or so, it's good to come back, and if you still want to have SMP, and make sure that we add a little bit more color, and we do what we call a touch up to make it more lively as well. So it's actually good to know, because then what you're saying is that at the transplant, where you do the transplant, that hair is always going to be there. And SMP also being permanent, if we add SMP in that area to even give it more density, you have a long journey of really
Certainly.
making sure you keep that density, in that area.
Sure, really, it will be a permanent look change. They will, I believe the long-lasting effect of, especially as you told, this combination. So we wanted it is very important. The feelings are very much affected by the look of yourself. So yes, the look will be lasting very long and will be permanent. And if they combine, they will like Benjamin Button.
Yeah, fun.
No.
So one of the biggest questions though, right? We have about 5 minutes left here is uh
Yes,
cost. Right? People want to hear all this stuff is great, but it has to be something that I call it affordable. When I say affordable, in my practice for me, an affordable price is something that's between me and my client, right? Uh, because what one person can afford, another person cannot afford. But when they come to you from a hair transplant,
yes,
typically, what can
yes.
they expect in terms of
Uh,
cost?
the cost is first I we give a package which includes the hair transplant, all hospital charges, and all local transfers starting from the airport, hospital, hotel, and the hotel accommodation. And this also package covers since people come to Turkey mostly with someone else. It covers the hotel stay and the transfers of the second person too. And for the next year, new year, we because of the inflation, we need to increase a little bit of the prices. And after this increase, the price will be 3,500. So
Okay.
it really worth to fly to Turkey because for hair transplant, because I know the cost, especially it is similar in Europe, but it is very high in US compared with these prices. And also I know that it or hair transplant quality is unbeatable. I really um, see that. Nothing of that. I see the results of any hair transplant jobs done around the world because of, as I told at the beginning, it is because of the number of practices. We do this job, we do this work in Turkey for 15 years, so we are very experienced and we use the latest technologies. And also for our clinic, it is very important. In principle, I just don't take anybody to any hospital or any place, any doctor. I don't advise if I don't take my family to that place or that doctor. So it is very important. I always say my best patient client is my own husband because I just share his before and after when it comes to uh, give the best
Result.
results because I just he trusts my team and my clinic. So it is the nirvana of this thing because and it is very important. I just want to add to have it done at a hospital because it is a full-fledged hospital. We have all other branches in the hospital, the emergency and other especially to the doctors, that maybe in case, thanks God, we didn't have that much that kind of problems, because we do all blood tests and all consultations before the hair transplant. But even we have an emergency, we have a full-fledged, we are in the full-fledged hospital that is in the same building. We have everybody.
Excellent, excellent. Well, guys, we are hitting the hour mark here, and it's 12. Well, actually, right now it's 1 a.m. for you, so I want to make sure I respect that. But very valuable information here. So for those that are, looking for hair transplant or SMP or S transplant plus SMP, just looking for that food density. So let me say it this way. This is more about folks that are looking for, they want the hair and they want the hair to look dense. Uh, you guys have this option, She Wolf Medical in Turkey. Uh, and from the SMP side, there are many SMP artists in the United States as well, including myself, that you guys can go to. But hopefully, this has been informative, to everyone that has joined. And hopefully, we get to do this again some other time with you, Sandra.
Yes, yes, we should certainly repeat these sessions, I believe. I don't know if anybody sent any questions. I didn't see. I am sorry. I'm a little
There
bit.
were just a couple, nothing you missed. I think you hit all of the key points because I was looking at some of them. So
Okay,
you
okay,
did
perfect.
wonderful.
And they can contact me and you later for any questions. Thank you, Enoch, for having me. It was a good chat always.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh, and thank you again. Have a great for those who celebrate. Merry Christmas for anybody.
Indeed.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. All of guys, have a good one.
Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. I gotta figure out how to get out of here. There we go.